Right, hopefully we're back. Hello? Yeah, that was a software issue. The OBS, for some reason, just disconnected from the internet. Having said that, I'm on Virgin Media. They've been doing a lot of work in Wigan, which is where I live in the UK, and it's the internet has been a bit hit and miss since they started doing it. Although whether they're doing it at 8:20 on a Friday night, I doubt. But I think it's a bit unstable at the moment, so I do apologise. But hopefully you've rejoined me, and we will carry on. So yeah, we were up to the loss of Bernard Cribbins, who was 93 years old. Good age. He had a hit song back in the day with Right Said Fred. What was it? Right Said Fred. Right Said Fred. Put a little weight on do. Everybody, we were getting nowhere, and then we stopped and had a cup of tea. That was Bernard Cribbins, apparently. I didn't know that at the time. I kind of liked the song because it was like, it's a kid's song, and I was a kid at the time. So yeah, I was going to comment as well on the guy who commented about how creepy the Wombles were. Hopefully. I would say a guy, it could be a woman. The person who commented how creepy the Wombles were, they were creepy, and I've just noticed on Uncle Bulgaria, which is, I'll just make that a bit bigger, the one next to my head. You see that fold? That's where is it? There it is. No, there we go. That fold there is where they would, when they talked, that would crease up, and it would do them on all of them. It was, yeah, now I can think about it, it was a bit creepy. Thanks for that, you've just ruined my childhood. Anyway, the Wombles were good. He also, as well, was in Doctor Who, recently with David Tennant. It was the Curse of the Wombles. Yeah, Admiral Cat. Yeah, I was just saying about the Wombles. He said how creepy they were, and I said, well, they're actually creepy when you see them moving. You get a chance after this broadcast, just watch an episode of the Wombles, and you think, what the hell, what's this? But I loved it. But I was a kid. Kids love stuff like that, don't they? He was in The Railway Children as well. That's not him in The Railway Children. That's him in a Doctor Who thing, where he was the guy on the platform, the porter. He would, wave the trains in, wave them out, wave the flags and all that kind of stuff. But I never liked The Railway Children. I thought it was too soppy. But I did like Doctor Who. And in Doctor Who, he was a young assistant, and the Daleks had invaded, spoilers, Daleks had invaded Earth. They had this big spaceship thing, and they'd landed it on the planet, and they'd put this thing down, and all the Daleks were coming out. They couldn't fly then. They were all coming, we didn't have the special effects, that's why they didn't fly back then. And they come out and they were taking over the world and everything. But they landed like near Wigan. It's not Wigan, but where there was a lot of mines and things. And there was this big bomb, and they managed to. What they're going to do is they're going to drop this bomb down and blow the planet up from the inside. But what Bernard Cribbins did was he was in the shaft and he got some planks of wood, and he put the planks of wood at an angle that went down a tunnel. And when the bomb came down, it ricocheted down, spoilers, and it went down the tunnel, and it blew up underneath the spaceship, and it killed all the Daleks. So he was a saviour, but I don't know when he died in that, which is probably why I didn't mention it when he was brought back as dad to, what was she called? I can't remember her name now. But when he come back as an old man, as dad or granddad to the David Tennant's helper. It'll come to me at some point, because one of you will probably type it in. Anyway, sad loss. He was also in a couple of Carry On films and a few other bits and pieces as well. Next up, energy companies. Now, we know everyone's struggling around the world with energy prices. Biden's popularity is lower than ever. UK government's popularity is lower than ever. In Sri Lanka, they've basically had a coup. Everyone is whinging and moaning about prices of energy. However, not to worry, because Shell has made £98 billion profit in 3 months, and other companies have made billions of pounds of profit as well. But they're saying it's not because the prices have been hiked. Oh no, it's because people are buying more. And I'm like, well, we're not buying more because there isn't more to buy. So you're talking out your posterior, and you should all be, randomly taken away somewhere and dropped down a mine shaft. And let's have energy that's reasonably priced. One thing that's annoyed me recently, and I haven't got a picture of it, is the gas price. It was around about 100, whatever 100 is, and then Russia invaded Ukraine and it went up to about 500, and that's when all our prices went up. But then it dropped down and it kind of hovered just above 100, but our prices haven't hovered just above 100, and now Russia's turned the gas supply down. It's going up again, but that's the first time it's gone up, yet our gas prices are ridiculously high. So someone somewhere is screwing the whole world's population, and I reckon it's those one-eyed people with the triangles who are doing it. I think they finally come out their little cupboards. The COVID didn't work, if you're a conspiracy theorist, which I'm not, so they're now doing it with energy instead. But not to worry, because it's not the only war going on. There's a war now going on in Labour. You know, Labour, who've been sat on their high horses saying, oh, look at the Conservatives all imploding and having a go at each other. Oh, look at them, aren't they bad? Forgetting that they were doing the same thing a couple of years ago before Keir Starmer got elected. That's what they do with elections. And now Keir Starmer has sacked this guy for going on a picket line. He's a MP. He sacked him. He's now said he's not sacked him because he went on the picket line. He sacked him because he was making up policy which wasn't true whilst on the picket line. So that's why he's been sacked from the shadow cabinet. And now a lot of the other people in the shadow cabinet and a lot of other Labour MPs and Labour Party activists are saying that Keir Starmer is not fit to be leader. We need to be for the unions, we need to be for the people, and all that kind of stuff. And this Sam Tarry guy, whatever he's called, he's basically standing like that, being interviewed, making stuff up, allegedly, has kind of destroyed Labour. So he's kind of finished off the job that Corbyn did. But I would never vote for Starmer either. I think we're just knackered no matter what we do. Then we've got a couple of things which I couldn't give a monkey's left dangly bit about. One of them is the Commonwealth Games. They're in Birmingham. Big yay. They had an opening ceremony, which I caught the very end of because I was waiting for the news to come on. And it was Duran Duran singing, a concerty type thing. They did my favourite song, which is Come Undone. They also did probably Wild Boys, I don't know. But they definitely did Planet Earth and all that kind of thing. And then they were doing Planet Earth and I was thinking, oh my god, this song is like 40 years old. And that's when you realise how old you are. Anyway, the Commonwealth Games is on. Big yay. But not to worry, because if you don't like those kind of sports, remember I'm a big sports fan, you can also watch on Sunday the Lionesses in the Women's Euro Cup final in Wembley. Yeah, I'll be watching that because I love football. I mean, people might say, "Oh, you're saying that because it's women." No, I say that because it's football. I just despise football. Football is... I don't understand why the BBC and ITV, when they get football matches, decide to scrap their whole schedule and put on a minority sport for people to watch on the main channel when they've got other channels. If you only had one channel, I've got to say Channel 4, but they've got enough channels. They put sport on other channels. Think of a channel. I can't think of a channel that's only got one channel because Channel 5's got more as well. But say it was the oldie days, and there was only BBC One and BBC Two. I'd still say put it on BBC Two. But when ITV only had ITV, and they got something like that, they'd have to put it on the main channel because, well, that's the only one they've got. But now they've got other channels. What they could do is, if they think that little old ladies want to watch EastEnders on BBC Two, or prefer to watch football on BBC One rather than EastEnders on BBC Two, what they need to do is keep EastEnders on. I've not watched EastEnders for years, but keep EastEnders on BBC One, put the football on BBC Two, and have a little ticker going on the bottom. If you want to watch the football, it's on BBC Two, and on Virgin it's 102, on Freeview it's number 2, on Sky it's whatever, and so on. Just scroll on the bottom, or watch it on iPlayer, and if you want to watch it, you can watch it. But no, we're forced to watch crap sports that no one cares about. The majority, I reckon, 90% of the population could not care less about the Euros, even if it was England. It just doesn't matter, and we can all watch multiple channels. So why not keep your main channels that the old people watch and are used to watching the same, and put the sports on, which generally younger people want to watch, on channels they want to watch it on, not just have it on iPlayer or ITV Hub or whatever. It's just easier. It's just annoying and frustrating, and I hate it. Talking of which, he says, completely contradicts himself now. Sebastian Vettel is retiring at the end of this Formula 1 Grand Prix. Now, whoa, Sebastian Vettel's turned into a Womble. What's that about? Excuse me, Sebastian Vettel. The Wombles are definitely screwing with this show today. I think Admiral Cat is definitely right on this. But yeah, Sebastian Vettel is retiring. He says he wants to spend more time with his family. I think he's realised that the car he's currently got is unable to compete the Aston Martin. I mean, he's out driving it, and he's making Lance Stroll look like an amateur. But I mean, let's be honest, I could probably make Lance Stroll look like an amateur. The only sport I'm interested in is Formula 1, but I don't rub it down people's throats, and I wouldn't expect it to be on BBC One all day, every day. And I wouldn't even pay for Sky to watch it all day, every day either, because I'm just not that into it, even though it's the only sport I'm into. He's not rubbish. He's a 4 times world champion. In fact, it got boring when he was a world champion, although he did say the last time he won it, and the cool down lap, he said, guys, rules are changing next year. We may not have this success again, so let's enjoy this while we can, because it may never come round again. And to be fair for him, it hasn't. He's since been to other racing teams, and it hasn't worked out. And until recently, it hadn't worked out for Red Bull either. But now, obviously, Red Bull are on the way back. But I can't imagine that Vettel... He might do, to be fair. I was thinking he wouldn't do an Alonso, but he might do an Alonso. He might disappear for a couple of years and then come back and just, be amazing like Alonso is. But anyway, that's enough of sport. We've done enough of that. So yeah, the main news and the saddest news, and I say sad, bearing in mind I can't remember last time I actually sat down and watched it. Very soon on Channel 5, it's going to be the last ever episode of Neighbours from Ramsay Street. It's massive in the UK. It was massive in the 1980s when it was on BBC One, and then BBC One decided they didn't want it anymore, so it got cancelled, and then Channel 5 bought it, so it got commissioned, and it's been on Channel 5 since. They also then bought Home and Away from ITV, or was it ITV, and they've had them running side by side. But Channel 5 have said now, we don't want Neighbours anymore, so we're going to stop showing it. And because the only way Neighbours was making money was because of the UK payments and advertising revenue and all that kind of stuff, it's now been scrapped. They filmed the last episode a while ago, and they brought back loads and loads of old characters, including Charlene and Scott, and as we know as Jason Donovan and Kylie Minogue, and they have kind of said goodbye to it all. So I've actually recorded from Monday to tonight all the Neighbours, and I'm going to watch them as a box set, because it's going to be crap this weekend, the weather, so I'm going to watch them one after the other, and then I'll probably report on it next week, and I might have it even tear in my eye. But last time I watched it was donkeys years ago. I mean, it was on the BBC for a good 10 years afterwards, so it's probably like the late 80s, early 90s last time I watched it. I had it on when one of my exes used to watch soap operas, because we used to have to watch Neighbours, and then it was Home and Away, and then it was not Hollyoaks, but something else, Sullivan's or something, I don't know, and then it was Emmerdale, Coronation Street. And then who remembers Brookside? Well, I made a reference to that recently. But Brookside was the last one. So from like 5 o'clock till 8:30, some nights, there was nothing but soap operas on in the house. And then she wonders why she's an ex. Now, some characters pass away, and that's how they write them out. And neighbours are like, oh my god, we want to bring back one of our most popular characters of all time, but we wrote her out like 13, 15 years ago because she died. But they're going to bring her back anyway. Madge is coming back as a ghost. Yeah, yes, I'm like, no. But to be fair, they were the TV soap opera that had a section years ago where Bouncer the dog had a dream of getting married, and they showed that on the show. So I suppose a ghost is nothing compared to that. Anyway, that's enough of Australia and everywhere else. Now, everyone's favourite bit. What's going on in America? What a week was that in America? Now, I'm not belittling any of the American series part of the news, just the way they actually show it or report it. It's not only American news, it's also world news as well, including some English news with an American slant, whereas this is a news programme with an English slant. This is the American part where they have the American slant on it. So, first up, we had a turtle. Now, we've had things before where they've said to Americans, whatever you do, don't feed your baby batteries, or don't breathe like that because it'll kill you. Breathe like this. So they're teaching Americans, safety aspects and stuff like that. And this kind of falls into that category. This is tiny pet turtles cited as cause for salmonella outbreak in kids. These small reptiles are cute but should not be cuddled or kissed, the agency warns. I mean, kissing a turtle? You need to be told not to let your kids kiss a turtle? Seriously? I know they're Americans and all that, but seriously? So yeah, unless it's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, in which case if it wants to give you a kiss, then just go for it. Gun laws. Now, I've been blown away by the absolute nonsense that's coming out in America. Okay, Angela, hope everything's okay. You look after yourself. Hope everyone's fine. Gun safety laws work, says an American politician. At last, one who's kind of sensible. Governor Newsom signs law, and it's O'King. What does O'King mean? To citizens who sue over illegal guns. California government, Gavin Newsom, signed a first-of-its-kind gun law on Friday that will award at least $10,000 to residents that can successfully sue people who sell manufactured or distribute assault rifles. Okay then. So if you want to sue someone for selling illegal or dangerous weapons, you can do now in that state, which is good. Hi, Kim. Then we've got this one, which is... Let's move it there a bit so you can read it. Slide it across a bit as well. There you go. This one is basically a New York student stuck on a hot bus during heat wave with no air conditioning. Now, again, I'm not an expert on these things, but I can imagine some of these buses are like 30, 40 years old, and air conditioning wasn't a thing back then. Plus, for the most part in America, you didn't need air conditioning. A bit like Britain, we are not designed in New York or in the UK for temperatures that have been hot as they have been. But anyway, when it comes to air conditioning specifically, they're breaking the law, says Paulette Healy. Any company that is not pulling a vehicle off the road without AC is violating the law. So how do the kids get to school then? Come on. You've got to think. Open the windows, but don't keep them on the bus for too long. Even if you just pick them up, like earlier when it's less I don't know. There must be a way around that. Anyway, yeah, air conditioning on buses isn't a thing for all buses. Who knew? Here we go. This is what I was on about before. The top little picture there is them signing, Russia and Ukraine signing this document in Turkey, saying that they're going to allow grain to be shipped out of Odessa. And the day after, Russia strikes Odessa with 2 missiles on the day after, but they've since damaged other properties as well and sent in more weapons, and they've even blown up a ship, although they say it was a ship that was not a grain ship or a private ship, it was a warship, but no clarification of that. Wind turbine disintegrates in Texas after lightning strike. Videos from witnesses and firefighters showed the wind turbine generator ablaze and disintegrate in the sky over Crowell in Texas. Now, basically, it's a scene out of Battlefield 4, although this one's on land. But yeah, there's a ship attached to it, and the thing catches fire in a storm. And then the ship's released and it crashes into the land and everything, and that's basically what happened in real life in Texas. We've got to love Texas, it says somewhere on the label. This is an odd one. Google fires software engineer who claimed AI bot was sentient. Blake Limon, who works in Google's responsible AI organisation, was placed on administrative leave after he said the AI chatbot known as Lambda claims to have a soul. It is shades of Skynet, Terminator stuff, isn't it? But yeah. At the beginning of the week, Joe Biden continuing to improve with COVID-19 treatments, but he's now completely over it, which is a good thing, I suppose. Exclusive video shows New York City's ATV crackdown didn't last. Upper Manhattan residents are frustrated by the city's loss of action against dirt bikes and drag races. It's a bit like any town in the UK and probably in America as well. You've got these ignorant a-holes who ride motorbikes where they shouldn't be doing them, quad bikes. They've got these blowers on the cars that make the cars sound like they're really supercars, but they're actually a Vauxhall Nova or I don't know, a crappy Chevette or something like that. And the police have cracked down on it, but now apparently the police have gone away, so everyone's come back out again on their bikes, and they're just terrorising the neighbourhood. Now, it's not just people working night shifts, although they do ride them at night as well, so it's people working day shifts with young children trying to sleep, but you've also got people with mental health issues, be it PTSD or just anxiety or whatever, and these people should be stopped. And I think there should be a law where you can go to people's houses, just get the bikes and crush them. They don't even have to be on the bikes. As long as they've got the bikes at their property, you crush them. End of. And eventually they'll learn. I've spoken to people who don't learn. Martha Stewart. I was a massive fan of South Park. And the only reason I know Martha Stewart when it first came out, the only reason I know Martha Stewart is because she was ridiculed in it all the time. Never heard of her before that. Assumed that she disappeared up her own backside at some point, but no. Martha Stewart's got a pet peacock, and they've been devoured by coyotes at her Connecticut home. R.I.P. Beautiful Blue Boy, Martha Stewart wrote. The coyotes came in broad daylight and devoured him and 5 others, including the magnificent white boy. They missed out on a big meal though, weren't they? If they'd gone into the house, they could have had Martha Stewart and saved getting them feathers. Those feathers don't have to get stuck in your throat. Las Vegas officials limit the size of swimming pools amid serious drought. So Las Vegas is diving into action in an effort to reduce the amount of water waste by limiting the size of swimming pools. Well, that's all well and good for new swimming pools, but you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of swimming pools in Las Vegas, which were built years ago, which were built when water wasn't such a big issue. So I don't see what the point of that is. What you should say is you can only fill it to 1 foot deep or whatever, if the water situation is that bad. Or you have to drink the water out of the pool because we're going to cut you off at the mains. I haven't mentioned the teabag in UFC style, but I have mentioned him. Now, Link NYC Wi-Fi kiosks are hubs for perverts and vagrants, business leaders say. I don't know who this guy is here, whether he's one of the perverts or vagrants, no idea. But many time business leaders have been frustrated by a wave of homeless and open drug use next to Wi-Fi and ad kiosks supported by Link New York City. Again, it's an issue that we've all got. I think it's the air conditioning that blows out of them that they're probably there for, because it cools you down a bit. We have them in Wigan, and they are very cool when you walk past. 3 arrested in Boston after white supremacists protest drag queen story hour. I read that and I'm like, what? 3 masked white supremacists were arrested outside a drag queen story time in Boston. And I thought, I'm going to read what this is about. And then I thought, you know what? I'm not going to bother, because that's just brilliant on its own. Vladimir Putin possibly replaced by body double in Iran, Ukraine officials. Now, to be fair, you look at that picture and that's not very Vladimir Putin looky. He's got chubby cheeks and everything. I mean, he looks a bit like him, but he doesn't look exactly like him. But he might be on steroids or something for, you know, whatever illness he's got. So yeah, it's a weird one. But, you know, conspiracy theorists, they love this kind of thing. And we've said it before on here as well about the using body doubles. But I'm not 100% sure that he was. I'm like 95% sure he was in this case. So the Russian president, who's long been rumoured to be ailing with illness and possibly cancer, appeared more alert and more mobile than usual, they said, when he met the Ayatollah Al-Qaim. I dare say he did. But I mean, you need to be more alert and more mobile when you're in Iran, don't you? Again, earlier on in the week, temperatures, now these are in Fahrenheit. Don't worry, people are not boiling in New York and Washington. But yeah, the temperatures here are in Fahrenheit, and 77 million Americans were under heat alert at the start of the weekend because it is all kicking off with the temperatures. But don't worry, Trump keeps telling us it's got nothing to do. Got to get a picture of Putin's earlobes to check. Okay, we'll do that. Now this is the thing that annoys me. New York man accused of stealing bronze plaques from veterans' headstones. The plaques are affixed to the granite headstones of veterans, stating their military rank, war they fought in, and birth and death dates. So typical, commemorative plaques for people. And this guy has been stealing them and then selling them for scrap. And you're like, surely the scrap yards would be aware that these are not necessarily belonging to this guy. We've had the same problem in the UK. In the UK, we have, I dare say they do in America as well, but we have war memorials, which is like in each town and village, city. It's an area where there's a statue, usually of an angel with a soldier, and then there's bronze plaques on walls, and it lists all the brave soldiers who died during World War One, World War Two, in America probably the Korean and Vietnam War, and over here the Falklands War, and any other conflicts. So all the names are there, and then every year on Armistice Day people go out and pay their respects. And every time I go to a town, city, village and I see one, I always film it and I always put on it, no jokes or anything, I always put on it, we shall remember them, because they sacrificed their lives so we can live the lives we're living today. So what's been happening is, or certainly a few years ago, people were nicking these massive plaques with all these names on and then taking them to scrapyards, and the scrapyards were buying them. And you're like, the scrapyards need to be shut down and the people in the